will call the February 18th work session to order. Mrs. Hicks and Mr. Bishop have requested to call into this meeting. So, is there anybody that would object to them coming in? Hearing none, then they may call in. Thank you. We will get a consensus. Okay. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Okay.
Is now joining.
Okay. Can you hear us all right, Sam?
Yeah, I got you. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any adjustments to the
Can you guys hear me too?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thanks.
So they're all present. Adjustments to the agenda. Hearing none, this is a work session with council. We will not vote or make any decisions tonight. Yes, ma'am?
Our real participation policy says they're supposed to actually make their process where they're actually participating from.
Mr. Bishop is participating from his house. Ms. Hitch is in Charlottesville. Period. So far, yes. Before we go into the staff report and finding by engineering, Ms. Eagle would like to make an opening statement.
Thank you all for being here tonight. Just a couple of comments on the agenda. I have asked staff to give a brief overview of their analysis related to the recent overview, and then we have some questions for you. Sounds good with everyone. I'll ask Fred Jackson.
So before Brother starts, I was interrupted. There are no public comments or questions allowed. Those attendance
Can I make a comment about that really quick? I'm so sorry. I personally feel that the last time the citizens were not able to ask their questions and answer, have answers to their questions, and happened with some council members. And now we are having a meeting that it feels like it's just, not being against about the person coming in to speak, Mr. Simonis, but the reality is that the citizens should have the same ability to have presentations and do all kinds of stuff too, not just Mr. Simonis. And I feel like the last time
we've had 4 public hearings on this and the right to speak at every one of them, and those citizens were not allowed to ask questions in any of the public hearings, so we will not answer questions tonight. Thank you. Mr. Jackson.
Okay, I'm just going to give a brief summary of what we've kind of gone over with the planning commission, what questions we've had arise during that time. The property is located at 300 Kimmel Lane Southwest, identified as tax parcel 557A20, and consisting of approximately 37.98 acres. The surrounding zoning designations are single-family residential R1 to the north, east, and south, and agricultural to the west, southwest, and southeast. The surrounding uses are residential. The subject property is currently used as a single-family home, and adjoining property to the southwest of the same owner was rezoned from agricultural to single-family residential on March 11, 2025. Public hearing for this request was originally held with Planning Commission on September the 29th, 2025. On October 20th, 2025, the Planning Commission voted 5-3 to recommend approval of the original request of 3 proffers. Proffer number 4 was discussed with Planning Commission and added to a revised proffer statement. Town Council had a held a public hearing for the request on October 28, 2025, after which time the applicant provided a revised proffered statement adding a fifth proffered condition. Per Town Code Section 42-12C3, the additional condition necessitates a second public hearing before both the Planning Commission and Town Council. The Planning Commission held its second public hearing on January 20th, 2026. On February 2nd, 2026, the Planning Commission voted 2 to 3 to not recommend approval of the request. There were 3 commissioners that were absent from that vote. The applicant has proffered the following, which has been updated since October 28, 2025. The property shall be developed at a maximum density of 2.5 single-family detached residential units per acre. Any residential subdivision development on the subject parcel shall include the construction of a public road connection from tax parcel 557-A-22 to Rogers Drive Southwest to facilitate inter-parcel connectivity for residential and emergency service vehicles. Any road improvement warranted that are directly attributable to the proposed project based on final engineered site plans will be the owner's responsibility unless otherwise directed by the Town of Christiansburg Engineering Department. The existing vegetated area located adjacent to the Walnut Grove subdivision shall be preserved above the existing grade elevation of 2190 as determined by a topographic survey. No more than 53 R1 residential single-family detached residential units shall be constructed on the subject parcel within 3 years of the requested R1 rezoning approval. An updated traffic impact analysis will be provided by a Virginia licensed professional engineer and submitted to the Town of Christiansburg Engineering Department after a certificate of occupancy is issued on the 53rd unit and prior to the issuance of any additional building permits for the remaining R1 single-family detached residential units. Should new road improvements not previously identified be warranted based on the new analysis, the owner shall be responsible for providing those improvements prior to receiving any additional certificates of occupancy permits for remaining R1 single-family lots. Regarding traffic, a traffic impact study is required that takes into account the future background site-generated traffic at each expected phase and at build-out for 6 years after start, whichever is greater. This study includes traffic generated by the subject parcel and future development, which includes the Summit Ridge proposed development. The traffic impact statement was received September 26, 2025, and reviewed by staff. There appear to be turn lane and paper warrants on South Franklin Street. The applicant has proffered to build any road improvements warranted that are directly attributable to the proposed project. These improvements would be determined during site plan review. There have been questions regarding traffic studies for Miller and Allegheny after occupancy of those units built, but this is considered outside of a reasonable study area for this development. Utilities. The cost of utility extension would be borne by the developer. The property will need water and sewer infrastructure extensions to support R1 residential development. Regarding water services, development of the subject parcel would allow opportunity to loop the water line into the Mulberry subdivision, which would most likely improve existing intermittent pressure problems in that neighborhood. There are existing public utility easements that would allow this connection without additional need for easements or encumbrances. In regards to sewer services, there are no existing downstream capacity issues during daily use. While there are existing downstream overflows during rain events, the town has been working to increase downstream capacity in this sewer shed. Sewer connection options may include either gravity sewer mains or installing a dedicated public lift station with a forced main, and again, those costs would be borne by the developer. existing drainage concerns. Drainage concerns were raised regarding the Mulberry Drive area, which appears to be in a separate drainage basin from the subject parcel. Stormwater runoff resulting from this development on this parcel will be required to meet state and local stormwater management regulations in place at the time of development and is unlikely to negatively impact the Mulberry Drive area. These regulations are written to protect downstream properties from the effects of development on stormwater runoff. In regards to density, the applicant has proffered a maximum density of 2.5 single-family detached residential units per acre. This would be interpreted as gross density. Based on gross density, if this property were to be R1, they could build approximately 106 units on the subject property, but based on the applicant's proffer, they would be able to construct up to 94 units, which is a little less than what would be by right in R1. If the property were to remain agricultural zoning, the applicant would be able to construct up to 53 units. Provided a development meets all applicable regulations, the town may not limit the number of units built outside of what has been proffered by the applicant as a proffer for rezoning. In regards to the emergency services for the I-81 bridge, staff reached out to Fire and EMS Chief Billy Hanks regarding access to the southern side of town. Should the South Franklin Bridge over I-81 be inaccessible, Chief Hanks stated that the town emergency vehicles would use Route 8 to Smith Creek and access from the south. There's also an automatic mutual aid with Reiner Emergency Services, who would use the same route. And as far as housing demand, so in the 2021 NRV housing study prepared by the NRV Regional Commission in conjunction with the Virginia Center for Housing Research at Virginia Tech and Housing Forward Virginia, Christiansburg is identified as one of the locations within Montgomery County with the most intense housing demand. The study identified many strategies for Christiansburg specifically to preserve existing housing stock and encourage further diverse development. This study is available on the NRV Regional Commission website.
We have that report.
Glad to hear Reta's presentation. I'm going to regurgitate some of that as we go through this. What I've done this evening, as I know council today, I really appreciate you all that have reached out with questions that you have and pass along citizen comments and neighbor comments that you've heard of. What I've done that I'm going to show you is basically I just went through the list. So if you sent me questions on your own or if you sent me follow-up from residents, I've included those. The black text you see are the questions, the blue text are all answers. So I'll go through and answer every question that's been sent to us. I'll go through this. We have drawings that I'm going to try to reference as we go through this as well. It might seem a little choppy on screen, but there's no good way without dual screens to be able to do this. So I'm going to go through these, and then obviously, for the mayor or Dr. Eagle, however you guys want me to answer any additional questions after we go through this.
Council, if you would allow to finish the presentation, if you have additional questions that have not been answered within a little bit.
So I'm just going to go through them one by one. And hopefully the folks in the other rooms can see, and I can provide this to council as well if you guys want to copy this afterwards. So this first section of questions here were from Mr. Williams at 320 Summit Ridge. So I'll go through these, and again I'll talk through some of this based on mapping as well. The first question: will plantings remain as a shield? So this is referencing some evergreen plantings that were planted at the top of the hill with Ridge subdivision backs up against this property. My understanding is those plantings were put in, and Mr. Blair, who was the owner 2 owners ago, had the property and was building a home down the bottom. And I believe there's a fence that went in either at that same time or maybe the old fence is the one that's been there. But those plantings and the fence itself are proposed to remain. You'll see here in a little bit, we're not planning to disrupt any of those existing plantings or the old fence. Kimball remains zoned ag with the minimum lot size, how many houses can be built. So Retta addressed this, but again, so it's 53 homes that we determined it. So that's using the same ratio that staff did during their initial staff analysis, which was taking the property, reducing the overall parcel buildable area by 30%, and then doing the square footage ratio from that, which really came up with 53 homes. Civil construction of the proposed 50 houses on Summit Ridge. That was the previous rezoning the council approved several months ago. Be before, during, or after the 53 houses and the certificate of occupancy with property number 5. So the previously approved project to get the Summit Ridge Road will likely start construction before this property. And I'm going to touch on this a couple times as we go through because that question is going to ask me a number of times. We're in the process right now of working on construction plans for that phase, for that parcel itself. What we were hoping, and I can explain this a little more as we go into it, we were hoping we would be able to do construction on both properties at the same time, because that would cut down on the overall time frame that we would have heavy equipment on that site overall. So if we have to mobilize and work on one piece, and demobilize and mobilize on another, it makes that construction time period a little bit longer. So we had started looking at moving into looking at some initial plans and concepts for this property we're talking about tonight. We kind of push pause on that since we weren't sure how this vote was going to go. So as of right now, we're working on the plans for the Summit Ridge, and if that were to go forward, that would start construction would start on that before this property would. So these were. So questions to town council, how can the traffic study be valid if it doesn't include traffic from the 50 proposed homes on Summit Ridge? As I noted, the traffic study already provided to town staff does include the proposed Summit Ridge development. That was included in a cover letter that was submitted to Mr. Kelly and the engineering staff. So those homes are taken into account in the first traffic study that we provided. Second one was asking whether traffic So we'll actually have, and I explained this to somebody who recently, I honestly can't remember who I was talking to, but we have done one traffic study based on the trip generation proposed for the development as well as the 50 plus lots at the end of Summit Ridge, and that's using published VDOT data counts for Franklin Street as well as Summit Ridge, and then we use the trip generation for Kimball Lane and that section of the neighborhood right there to generate the trips that we used in that study. I had a conversation with Mr. Kelly and the assistant town engineer that as we got into the site plans, we're actually going to go in and update that study with actual traffic counts. We will do traffic counts on Franklin Street, on Summit Ridge, on Kimball existing, and then update the study we've already done as we're submitting the first set of site plans for this project. So that's not in the proper, that's just something we've already agreed to with town staff. I'm sure Mike could validate that as well. The proffer we provided would be after the 53 lots. So again, to remind everybody, the 53 lots is what we can do by right. So what we thought was after 53 lots, we push pause. We've got traffic, we've got more than half of what we're proposing as a maximum unit count on site using the roads as they would be on a normal daily basis. That gives us a way to not just assume how traffic patterns are going to work, but actually see. So the idea of doing this in the 53rd lot would be us as well as the town staff to go out, we rerun the trip generation, we relook at the traffic itself, we do new traffic counts, and if any of the analysis that we have done up to that point was shown to be different, the actual traffic patterns acting differently, using roads in a different ratio, we would update that study and rerun the analysis to show if any additional road improvements would be necessary. If the actual road conditions after House 53 is occupied match the analysis that we had already done, that confirms that the assumptions that were made, the analysis that was done was correct, and we'd be able to move on to the next parts of the subdivision without having to do any additional road improvements to the road improvements that were initially proposed and approved and valid. Is that somewhat clear? Traffic study on Allegheny and Miller, that was another question. Retta addressed that one, I guess, through staff. So that was not required by the town engineering staff in us in our initial analysis, and it sounds like from what Retta stated, that would be further outside the scope of This next one again talks about the developer's traffic study, only addresses right turn lanes on Summit Ridge and Kimball, doesn't address any other traffic concerns. The scope that we provided the town is the scope has to be provided by town engineering staff. We have already had some discussions with staff regarding the width of Kimball Lane, which we discussed in several of our public hearings, as well as being wide enough for 2 cars to pass, as well as EMS, and it meets the VDOT standards for the trip generation that would be on the road today as well as in the future. Although it's not required, the council has to see a site plan before voting. So I am going to show you a concept plan that we put together on this. We'll be clear, this is not a property plan, but this does show a potential layout that we would like to go to if we see approval. So we'll show that here this evening. And then can the town limit the number of houses? This echoes what Retta says. Generally, the landowner has the right to build on the property as long as they're doing so in compliance with applicable zoning of their property based on the density setbacks. So our next set of questions for Brian was these were both drainage and watersheds. Again, talk back to this a little bit in some of the drawings. So it's the watershed evaluation for the 300 Kimball project for the 53 houses for the full 94. So the stormwater will be managed on site, will be designed to accommodate the full build-out. So whether that build-out is 53 units, 75 units, 94 units, that stormwater management will be required to be built to accommodate the full project. And the Kimball Lane and some bridge projects start grading land at the same time, so how will the watershed affect the area, these areas. So as I mentioned earlier, Summit Ridge will likely start construction prior to Kimball, and if it stands alone, it will have to meet all the stormwater and erosion control standards as that project sits on its own. I'm looking to Mike to evaluate if there's anything I state out of order here. When Kimball starts, if it's approved and it moves forward, Kimball will have to manage its own stormwater on site as well, and then also account for anything that's coming from the Summit Ridge side down through it. So the natural drainage way, which we'll show you here in 2 minutes from Summit Ridge, drains down through the Kimball property. So we'll have to account for that in Kimball as well. But both projects, unless they're designed, engineered, approved, and constructed at one time, have to be able to stand alone from the stormwater perspective. So these came, I'm sorry, this is not formal. I apologize to council. This is from Councilwoman Berger. So there were some questions that she had asked me at our last council meeting. I provided her responses on this, but I wanted to share these with council as well. So her questions were, who will own and maintain the living area after all the houses are sold? So the developer will maintain the open space during construction once all the homes are sold, HOA. So a homeowners association has to be formed within those subdivisions because of the requirements at the state level for maintenance of stormwater management. And, if you have any parks or open space that are maintained by, for the rest of the so the HOA would be required to be responsible for that open space after all the homes are sold. Typically, the developer maintains control of the HOA until that last home is sold and then it goes to the HOA. With the area at the end of Summit Ridge we built at the same time, we talked about questions to the neighbors concerning the building, the existing building and garage on the property right now. If the project's rezoned and moved forward, that garage will be removed, will be demoed and removed from the property, will not exist within the subdivision. You'll see that here in a few minutes as well. Will the new road be curved into the existing part of Kimball as a way to reduce speed? So yes, exactly, the road will be curved into the property as it connects with Kimball and Rogers, and this will help slow down vehicles. There will also be new stop signs at these new intersections as well, so you won't have one long stretch, straight stretch of road. So at these new intersections, there will be new stop signs. And then the last one, we put a one-way street, possibly slow traffic and help with on-street parking. So regarding the one-way street, our new roads that we were built in the subdivision, built to town standards, which is a 30-foot road section, so that wouldn't need to be one-way. That would be plenty of room for cars to pass as well as have people on both sides, parking on both sides of the street. Any changes to the traffic flow of existing streets would have to be initiated by the town. It would have to go through street committee with engineering response and support. That would help with on-street parking, but the problem with that is it could cause more problems than it helps. Mainly for the residents that live there. Any new residents would be used to that traffic flow, but if you live on Kimball and you have to come in Summit Ridge and exit out of Kimball, if you're one of those first houses on Kimball, it's a whole lot more convenient to come down Franklin and turn right into Kimball. So there's some things that kind of offset one-way street. So again, that's not something that we would decide. It would also limit some options, like I said, for residents in EMS and EMS on the property. So it's not a bad idea if it was set up that way originally, but it might not be beneficial to the existing neighbors. That would be Councilwoman Waltz had the next set of questions. The fact that the site has no conceptual drawings made it difficult to visualize, so we'll show you that here in a few minutes. There's verbiage in Proper 3 related to the town engineering department that I need to understand the purpose of, and questions related to the term that is presently conceptual, but will be a requirement should we approve the zoning request. So we included this language to give the town engineering department the final say regarding the improvements within the right of way of the town. So, because that's right of way that's within the town and under their maintenance. For example, if our proposed turn lane, I've got this right here, when fully engineered, shows some unintended consequence that we don't know today, because we haven't done full engineering on it. It could show to be detrimental. Let's say we're showing we're going to put in a 200-foot taper and a 200-foot turn lane. Maybe there's some drainage issues within the street that would cause problems too. This would give the town engineering staff and public works the ability to look at this and say, let's look at our alternative design that doesn't create a problem that we don't need to create. So this is really what the town engineering staff would be doing anyway. Again, correct me, Mike, I'm stating anything out of line here, but I wanted to memorialize that because we have had some concerns from neighbors, specifically, just lost his name. Yes, that's Ron Ray. Yes, but it's asked about that specifically because he owns that house there in the corner of Summit Ridge and Franklin Street. So if we get into the engineering and there's anything that's impacting driveways or drainage, that's something the town engineering can work through with us as we're doing the design. But it gives the town, it doesn't give the town. The town has the ability to adjust those designs as needed. But the intent is that if there are road improvements necessary, that's going to be done. Number 3, I had questions whether or not these homes would be included in warranties. So I did talk to Mr. Woody on this. So the building honors all the warranties of the material manufacturers that use the home, and he has a 1-year callback period on all of the homes. So if the homeowner has a question about, if there's a sink leaking or if there's a siding issue or window problem, they've got a 1-year callback period on any of those homes to come back and make those repairs. I'm not exactly sure on this one, Ms. Waltz. I did answer it. I think I answered it correctly. When I spoke to engineering, they stated the project might improve drainage on Trimble and Mulberry. There's a planning report which is the drainage issues in the site that would result in a capital improvement project. I'm not sure about that. I'll show you here in a few minutes, our project will not drain any of our water towards Kimberly Lane or Mulberry Drive. The way we set, based on the topography, we won't drain it. So we'll all be contained within our boundaries, and we'll go to our stormwater management facility. That's not contributing to any existing drainage issues that are out there today. So if there are any drainage issues in Kimberly Lane or Mulberry Drive, they won't be impacting our and several citizens have asked the developer not starting on, or why they're not starting on Summit Bridge first. We talked about that. So we are currently working on those construction plans. I mentioned they just haven't been submitted to the town for the first review, but it is tracking ahead of this project. So last, we got a lot of feedback about traffic issues and the fact that Connector Road is supposed to be built, it hasn't. We know traffic has been a concern. I say your traffic has been and will continue to be reviewed by town staff upon receipt of all updated traffic studies, which is going to be at least 2 additional ones. We would support a future connector road, but as I note here, it's out of our purview. That's beyond what our developer can do. That's from the county's commerce park there, and then it goes through the Teal property, which I don't know if they're involved or anything on that yet, but I'm not sure. It'll loop as far as that connector road, but I know that's come up a couple times. So Councilwoman Hockett, and I know she had some conversations with some neighbors, so I'll try to put a few of these in here. So what would front setbacks be specifically regarding driveway lengths? So front setbacks would be a minimum of 30 feet from the right-of-way line. If you all remember, we had asked for a reduction in setbacks on the Summit Bridge, and that was a concern by neighbors. If we had a big truck, it could be hanging back over the driveway to the sidewalk. So we'll be 30 feet from the right-of-way. The sidewalk and the road exists within the right-of-way, so 30 feet is the minimum from the back of the right-of-way to the face of the garage. So there's plenty of room for a car to get in there and not be hanging over, into the right-of-way or over the sidewalks. Most of these homes we're anticipating will have a 2-car driveway as well. Two-car width. The new price point of the new homes, confirmed that today with Mr. Woody. They're assuming somewhere in the $375 range, depending upon the finishes, the size of the homes. What will happen with runoff during construction? So all runoff during construction will be maintained on site. So we have to have an approved erosion sediment control plan set up, designed, and approved by Mike and his staff. These all state and local laws and ordinances. So these are designed by us, the engineer, reviewed by town staff, installed by the contractor, verified again by the engineer after they're installed, and then approved by the town field staff prior to them allowing us to let them go to those facilities. And whether that's silt fence or inlet protection or sediment ponds, all that has to be done and verified, constructed and verified by us. And the town inspectors come out and they do a sign off on it as well. So again, there's 5 different steps to be sure those facilities are going correctly by state standards. Construction equipment, how will construction equipment and traffic access the site? So equipment access to the site, we would have to have an approved construction entrance that would be shown on the plans, and it would be one of the locations along Rogers Drive for this development. What is the duration of construction traffic? So this is a little nuanced, but the heaviest construction traffic you're going to see is in the very beginning when we're starting earthwork, we're putting pipe in the ground, we're doing road work. That's when you'll see the dozers being trucked in. But the good part about that is they come in once, they stay on the site, they get the site work done. When the site work's done, they're hauled off. So you're not constantly seeing bulldozers and trackhoes being trucked up and down the roads, every single day. So the heavy equipment will be there. You'll have your construction crews coming in, and their normal passenger vehicles, but that equipment will be on site. So at the end of the site work, they'll be taken off, and then once you get into the house construction itself, that's when you'll see your normal construction traffic, your subcontractors, which are coming in trucks and panel vans, similar sized vehicles like that you see in any other subdivisions built around town. Delivery of the bigger materials, somebody's pouring a concrete basement, or you've got drywall delivery, those are still based on house construction. Mr. Woody actually does something very unique, is that when he's starting a new project, he did this for the townhomes at Hargrader. We'll actually purchase a tractor trailer of vinyl flooring or carpet or siding and has that delivered. So their crews are feeding out of that tractor trailer as opposed to having multiple trips coming in for each home. So it's very efficient in how he does that, and it helps keep traffic off the road and keeps his crews working and moves the project faster. So that's how the construction traffic would be phased. There was another one, is there no, again, a question about access to this site from anywhere west of the property from Route 8 or Route 9. So we talked about this, and I'm going to show a couple of maps. But access from that side can only be through private property owners. There isn't any existing public right-of-way connections to either the Summit Bridge property or to this property. The only way you can take to the Summit Bridge would be a private easement through the Foursquare Church property, which we discussed with them last year. But that would be putting public traffic on a private road, which is not ideal for anybody, public or the private property owner. And then Lumnut itself was interesting. I did some research back, and there was some right of way that was along Lumnut that actually was vacated about 7 years ago. Mr. Larimer and two of the property owners at the end of Lumnut Drive. So this was well before Mr. Woody or his Ken bought this property 2 or 3 years ago. So this was about 7 years ago. If that right of way had been there, we could have gotten to the next property, but we still couldn't have gotten down the steep slope into this piece, and I'll show you some data on that. And then the last one I had will be in road connections to Overland Road, and no, we will not have any road connections out to Overland, Mulberry, or Rosedale. So I'm going to stop on the questions there. Just touch through some of the drawings that I think will help.
Sure.
So this is property in yellow, Kimball, Baldwin, Summit Bridge to the top. So again, this is just the map that everybody sees. So just the parcel map. This one I wanted to show. This is basically our existing property with the contours. What you'll see is the red arrows on there are showing where the existing drainage on our property is draining. And you'll see all these red arrows up in Summit Bridge, they stay on site. They don't drain off to our Summit Bridge neighbors. They do drain off here to the south onto the adjacent property that Eric Woody owns up here on this part of Summit Bridge. This property line where my cursor is right now, that's where the fence and the tree line that we talked about in the first 2 questions are. It's kind of sitting at the top of the crest. So those again, you can see all the red arrows on our property are pointing into our site. The only little piece that you see on our property that is draining off-site is at the very top of the hill. You see this green line that kind of goes around. That's the existing forest and tree line that we've profited out to impact. So again, you'll see one little strip. The ridge line is basically right here where you see these contours. So there's a little bit of existing woods that drains in the back of these lots, but everything else, and certainly all of the construction area, which would be here, drains internal to the site, does not drain out to the Kimball property. And then the big red circles you see there are the proposed areas where you would have stormwater management facility shown. The blue arrows you see, those are the areas off-site, the drainage areas where they go. So you can see some of Summit Bridge drains back on us. Kimball and the Rogers area all drains this way. There are some lots on Kimball and on Rosedale and back on Mulberry that actually drain back into this subject property and hit this section of red arrows right here, that come down the drainage. So we're actually accepting offsite water, but we'll have to account for our stormwater management plan if we're not putting any water offsite. So access points, you all have seen this map again. So these are the access points that we're providing, again showing the turn lane improvements, the locations for those that we mentioned in the plan, and the properties that again you all seen this in exhibit before. So the bid reveal. So this is our first run of the concept plan. So this is actually only 90 lots. So we profit up to 94. So this is only showing 90 lots. So what this is showing are two access points off of Rogers, one at the end of Kimball and one at this intersection at Baldwin. You'll see this red line are the overhead power lines. So there's a power tower sitting, transmission tower sitting right here, so we will not be impacting that. The Councilman Tom Martin's question as far as curving the road as we come in, that's exactly what we're talking about doing. We will also have stop signs at each of these new roads, so again, traffic can stop and coming out of these before they continue on to the existing roads. These lots are to the town standard from the size, width standpoint. You'll see a couple different, just one footprint, kind of a longer footprint. We're hoping to get some single level living on some of these lots. That's been a big demand in town. You see some patio homes. This isn't set up as a patio home community, but we would like to have some homes that have single level living on it. Those would be the ones on the upper page north and page south side. The lots you see in the middle of the two proposed roads, those are a little bit more square. The square you see in there is not really a house footprint, it's just showing the lot number. But those would be a more traditional size shaped house. As you can see, that's generally the layout. You see our connection up to the South Ridge. We would have future stub out points as required by the town VDOT. The purple area you see down here in the lower left hand corner would be where the stormwater management area is. And you see a large section of open space right here where all the existing tree line is that we showed you for show protect and remain as is during construction. So we did set an elevation within our proffer, and we wouldn't disturb any further up a certain elevation on that open space. That's really just to account for what grading might be necessary down here in this lower section to get our stormwater facility in. You can see the grading that would be necessary for just our hose on this back line here is really in line with the tree line, so we wouldn't anticipate really any impact there. It would just be down here in this lower area where the stormwater management facility is. Water and sewer would all be in the roads or public utility easements the way the town requires us to do things in the projects. So what it's talking about access. So this is a little bit blown. This is from Montgomery County's website. So we're going to show parcel lines that are in the county, which don't show up on the town's GIS. So over to the left here, this is the Foursquare church property. You'll see this is all parking lot and certainly their campus ministry and apartments and classroom space. So there is no right of way to get to that. If that property ever develops and if there's any public roads that would be able to connect into what we're putting in some bridge, so there would be some access out in the future. Lugum, and it's hard to see, I'm going to show you another drawing here. Our property that we're looking at today is kind of a Z-shaped, upside down Z that you see here, where the white line is. This property here is owned by Eric Woody. This property here is owned by his son, Derek. They bought this property from the Lairds back a few years ago. So, again, before they purchased the property, these two property owners at the end of London Drive vacated the existing right of way that went into this property. So, in order for any public right of way to be there, they would have to rededicate, basically give that land back. But what that does is that only gets you into this piece, which is owned by one property owner. You've got another property owner that owns this piece, and then we're a third parcel over. But as you guys may have seen on some of the previous graphic maps, this is where it gets really, really steep. So way to getting access back to some of these areas, if we can actually this lower side, kind of off the screen here, I'm sorry, it's hard to follow the person. But what that, you've got wetlands and other environmental conditions down here, you've got a lot of stream, and that would be bringing the road right up back behind the neighbors here. And again, this is all property that's not owned, by the developer. So there is no physical or legal way to get there. So this is a copy of the plat that was proposed, or that was recorded back in 2019, I think. Scroll back to the next page. So again, this shows where this section of right-of-way right here, you can see it says relocated line. So this shaded area right here had been right-of-way at one point when it was vacated, and now is owned by two separate property owners. They're not our client or even related to our client. So those are just two separate owners that have that property. So that right-of-way no longer exists to get to that parcel. I think this might be my last image. So again, this is just back to the connector road discussion. I just wanted to show an overall. So this is the FedEx distribution center in Atlanta. The county, in cooperation with the town, the EDA has graded out this pad site and is extending this road out. That's about the limit of my knowledge of it, other than this fence line here is where it gets to Mr. Hill's. I don't know what the future holds as far as that access road coming across, where specifically it's supposed to tie into Franklin. But I just want to give an overall to anybody watching tonight as far as how that road, how that land is actually. I think my last slide was just my first. Yeah, this is just my points from before. That I've talked to you all about things that I've kind of explained. So I'll stop there, Mayor. I tried to hit everything that we've been asked about. So if there is anything else, I'll be more than happy to answer the issue.
Bishop, do you have any questions? Mrs. Hicks?
Just to be clear, so we got, he was able to speak from 6:42 to 7:18, and I'm hoping that if there is a way for the people that live over there by Campbell and Summit Ridge and everything to do a presentation, that they have the same opportunity. Also, I just wanted to clarify that this video, I hope that it's posted as soon as possible, because unfortunately, because we are now meeting on the chamber to come, the chambers, this was not available for people to see, and I actually got a couple of phone calls already asking where the meeting is, which obviously is not out there at all live right now. So it's kind of sad just to see that. And just to clarify something else, the last project that went through town council, from my understanding, the CUP, we did not approve the CUP. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Fine.
You talked about doing a study after the 53 funds were built and, if any necessary road improvements would be needed at that time. In a road out there, I looked at, actually, Christine, we looked at the shrubs out there and, talked about the house design and didn't have a whole lot to say there. But is there any chance that, additional changes would need to be made that would, put us in a situation where we're put back to landowners and they asking for eminent domain?
I'd have to look over to Mike. I mean, we haven't done full survey out there this moment. So until we do full survey and engineering, that's why I put that section out proper, because, it says specifically town engineering will review this, and if we see anything that can cause a problem, we can adjust the design. I don't think the never been in the town of Christiansburg as an ideal situation to condemn or make a decision of that anyway, especially if it's a good
There was one quick question on the traffic impact studies. So, just for clarification, the traffic impact study is something that the town requests of you. You have someone, an engineer who conducts that. You provide it to the town. They review it. But we have an option that we are not using, but if we could, if we needed, to bring in a third party to review that traffic study if we needed to, if we wanted to. But this did not reach the level of complexity for us to request that right now. Is that right? And then another question is that the sewer system, I have heard this, and I'm sorry I don't have the data in front of me, but when we talk about the sewer system, the infrastructure, I have heard that it's at 85% capacity. But I don't think that I understand exactly what that means and what the impact of new development on the existing sewer system would be. Does that sound familiar to you? Okay, then I will sit and, maybe let me rephrase the question. Forgetting that number, you all have reviewed, and Public Works has reviewed the impact of the current system, the current infrastructure that's there, and the impact of the new development. And do you foresee any issues overloading the system or anything?
The only thing that we perceive is that if they discharge to the existing wastewater station that's out there, that it will most likely need to be upgraded for the size of the building.
Okay.
At their cost.
Okay.
I just want to mention also that the airhead sewer project that we have right now is addressing infiltration into that sewer shed that's out there now. So now it's heavy construction to improve the capacity of that sewer in that area.
Okay. And I think that's my questions for right now.
Ms. Umberg.
So, we were asking questions now, and then we'll question, or we'll start after. Right now, we're just asking the questions of Mr. Snow.
Correct. And all this is a presentation. We're not making any decisions.
I know we're not making decisions. My question is, will there be more discussion after this, or this is, I should ask anything I want to ask now? Not if this is Mr. Snow, but just in general.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So, I don't know if this is possible, Mr. Simonis, but this is part of the problem, is that South Franklin has a lot of potholes. As somebody who rode a bike, but didn't have a car, and my husband rode a bike, one of the things you do is you ride along the edge of that road, and those potholes are really at the edge of that road. So if you were riding, no, I mean, they are. This is an issue that concerns me, because the road already is in bad shape, then we had snow, and that made it even worse. So that's a concern. That road, it'll be more traffic on that road. Right over there. I think Mike can speak to that also too.
Yes. Part of our annual paving project for this spring is to start repaving the South Franklin Street. It was already on the schedule because people complained in its condition. So we're working on a project to get Franklin Street resurfaced.
That most likely will be completed prior to the first shovel of dirt being.
That will most likely, knowing how long our plan review process takes and the steps involved in that, we will probably be done with that maybe before the end of turn of the shovel.
That's heavy equipment. Every time they pay in front of my house, it seems like they have to do something. So anyway, and there's no sidewalks there, and it really begs sidewalks. And I know that if we do sidewalks, that means money, and that means taxes. So there's that problem.
Is that sidewalks in Franklin?
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. Because you will have sidewalks. Okay.
Is that an order or a statement? You will have that.
Either
Either way, it happens.
Either way, you would like to think that.
Sam, there's a.
Okay.
Is now exiting.
Okay.
concern is for this whole development is that the proffer is an attempt to deal with the heavy traffic that will be there when people are going in and out of there. So when you're coming down South Franklin towards Pilot, that's where the speed limit will be. So the speed limit in there is, it just turns 25 around town. So I don't know if we could change the speed limit, like where the town limits are, it's 35, and then it becomes, instead of it's going to be 35, and then it's 25. So my concern is that it's 25 way back there, maybe so people already, some people won't pay attention to that. But so already when they get up to where a lot of people are going to be turning left, it would be 25. So that's my concern, not the turning right. The turning right, the turn lane, what will happen is, okay, we're going towards Pilot. So you're driving down South Franklin, and then you're going to turn right. So you get off to turn right. Now somebody else is getting ready to turn left. So actually, I think the turn lane causes more danger because if you're turning right, you're going to be slowing down and turning right. And the persons behind you who want to go straight are going to have to slow down. So it slows down traffic. Whereas if you have that little sign, what do you call it, the flip, then people are going to they'll get off, and then these people go fast. Now these people,
Yeah, pretty much.
the people that are turning left are going to have, the people that are turning left to that lift, they have more people, chances of them coming faster from heading towards Power. So
People taking left onto Summit.
yes, taking left
Is
from
now
Summit
joining.
or from Kimball. If they're turning left, and that's going to be going. Some people are going power. That left turn is what I'm concerned about. That increased traffic and that left turn is what I'm concerned about. And I don't see what you can do about it.
So not left turn, not people on Franklin making left into the subdivision roads.
No.
People on the subdivision roads turning left out.
Because there'll be a lot more traffic, and then they have to go left to get out. And so if you have that lift coming, what the lift does is makes it possible for people that are going behind them to go faster, and they're trying to turn left. I understand.
I think you're calling you.
So the problem is when people coming out of Kimball and out of the other road, Summit, are going to be turning left. So the lift, I don't see how the lift helps in these things. That's what I'm saying. After all that, we're going to fall together. And then also there will be additional traffic through Allegheny and Ellen. I live on a road where it's a lot of traffic. It's hard to back out. I understand the frustration with that. And then people don't go the speed limit. I love going really slow on my road because I want people to shake a point. So that's, and then also when you do the sewage, when you add the sewage and the water, does any of that construction come through? Is any of that construction, are you digging up in the existing houses?
No, we shouldn't have to. We'll tie into the water and sewer lines. Water lines will tie into along Rogers. So we'll tap into those lines that basically perimeter of our property. We'll tie into the sewer as it goes further down towards Mulberry as it gets to the pump station. But we shouldn't have to dig up anything further down into Kimball or all, because everything should be right there.
Okay, so,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were just
I'm
doing
simple. You said I could talk, man. I'm going to talk. I'm going to be a meme pretty soon. I'm pretty sure they have all that correct direction. Okay, so, I want to state this clearly because I think it's confusing to people, and it was confusing to me, and I think when you first learn something, you're a better teacher than other people because you all are used to all these terms, so by right means that no matter what, that they have the right to do that, to build 70 houses. And so a lot of people, we as a council, all we can do, we can't tell people what they can do on their property unless it has to do with safety or there's the ordinances that we already have. So some people seem to think that we can stop this. We can't stop this. The only way, because I looked into this, is if you want, you see a piece of property and you would like to see it say a green space, there's only one way, and that is if you buy it. And if I had millions of dollars, there's a lot of places around town that I would like to buy, but I don't have that kind of money. It's the only time in my life I've ever wished I was rich. But so if people put their money together, or we as taxpayers decided we wanted to buy green spaces. So I think people need to understand that. But we only have so much limitations. So the only thing we're really deciding is basically if there will be 53 houses or 94 houses. And if there was a road through there, if there was a road, and I hate that too because it's going through a green space, but that isn't really, looks like to me, a necessity for South Franklin to over there Falling Branch. That almost seems like a necessity at some point because it is possible that the bridge could be damaged. And if there's more development, which theoretically could happen, then that road. I see if that road was there, then that would really help with this whole traffic situation. And I know
We think so. That we do. However, Scott, if I'm not mistaken, there is no funding for that road. There is no grant funding. So the burden of that road is on the taxpayer, which would then be a double tax because the county would increase your taxes, the town would have to increase your taxes.
And I think
So that's a double tax claiming. And is it really fair to the other 23,000 citizens that don't live out there to increase their taxes?
We all pay. Okay, I agree with you. That's what point I wanted to make. That if people want these things, you can have low taxes and have great services. So I agree with you on that. But what I'm trying to say is that okay. I don't know. I'll tell you something.
So I think, Scott, when you and I looked at this proposed new road, I think the figure quoted was $12 million.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2013.
Yep.
So an estimate is how much would that be now?
I mean, just based on that, if I had to take a shot in the dark, double it.
Yeah. So it's,
And I do think, like you're saying, that other people in town, anytime I think back to something's happening on the other side of town, I have lived here for 40 years, and I still don't have a sidewalk in front of my house.
yeah.
So I'm saying that is we all help each other out. So that I don't see as a problem. And everybody would be using that road. I'm pretty sure each class has one.
Yeah, are you going to move to Ms. Waltz now? I mean,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Waltz.
Okay, I'm trying to understand, and this may not be you, Steve, it may be anyway.
That one, right?
Yes.
I don't understand anything.
Stuff, in which case, if you can answer too, it's related to that term escalation. Right now, it's conceptual. Eventually, it will be reality if we improve this. I'm trying to understand because the project, Summit Ridge, and it hasn't started yet, and I'm assuming there is a part where automatically that turn lane comes into play. The first 50 at Summit Ridge, would it require the turn lane at that point? Okay, so I would do 53 more over on Summit Ridge, or not at Summit Ridge, on Kimball. Does that require the turn lane?
The study we did assumed the 94 for Kimball and 50 for Summit. My initial thought would be it probably would still require it. I'll look to Steve to maybe give some insight into that in the traffic study. But I believe it would still be required. But it moves from, there's another graph that we use that's VDOT, and it shows the traffic movement on it. And it will be fewer trips at that point, but I do believe it would still trip.
So turn lane would be regardless of whether we keep it agricultural or we make it R1. Am I understand that correctly?
I believe it would be required. It may be close to tripping. Steve, you got any insight into that? Well, so that, Ms. Waltz, the way we looked at it, we talked about this with staff early on when we were doing that first round of the traffic study. If it's approved, let's say it's approved and we keep the proffer as it is in 53 lots. We can adjust where those 53 lots are. If where those 53 lots are located on that project will determine some of the assumptions made on whether somebody coming home turns right on Summit Ridge to get to the lots on the northern side. If they come down to Kimball and they turn right there to get to the southern lots. So what we talked about with Mike and Joshua was, if we want to phase this development, so again, this was an early discussion, if we want to phase development, we could break the traffic study down into phases to show exactly what you're asking. So the 50 for Summit Ridge, it's not needed. We haven't done an analysis to show that 103 lots doesn't kick in. What we would have to, that's why I said that second study that I haven't proffered, but we're going to have to do because we've already agreed with staff we're going to do it. That would be what would show that first phase. So if we've got 150 at Summit Ridge and we do 53, that's what kind of that first phase would show.
So as I understand it, what would happen is the 50 would be over at Summit Ridge and the 53 over at Kimball, and then that's where you said you would take a pause and you would do another traffic study to ensure that what would be happening would be that turn lane. And at that point, that would be where we would be surveying, and is that correct?
They will go out probably go out and do the design up front when they design the entire substation. So it'll be designed. Because we want to know that on. We wouldn't get into the project and say, oh, we have an issue. We want to know all those constraints up front. So we can survey that actually for the first phase. Whether we're building that turn lane first or not, we have it all surveyed. We would be able to share that information with the town so we would know going into that first phase, are we going to have any issue moving forward? And if so, what's that threshold when we hit what? 40 or 50, 72, and that's standard traffic procedure stuff that gets done as well. Just because an overall project requires it, it can still be phased in based on the traffic trips those thresholds based on that photographic like this one. So.
Steve, if this thing were not to be rezoned as R1, you said your basic cost per house was $387 and up. So how much would it increase the cost of houses limited to 53 in those agriculture zone half-acre lots?
I mean, it's really simple. It's just doing that percentage ratio of what we drop.
Can I make a couple of comments? The more people coming in and out. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So if we had 5 people, like I think it was 53, and if you build another like 44 right now, your estimated time to finish this project approximately would be like 7+ years. Now, if it was by right, obviously it would be like 3 years instead of 7, I think, because we only give out the permit for that to be done for like 3 years, isn't that correct?
If I'm understanding what you're asking, this is if we were building just by right in agriculture, we could build it as fast or as slow as the developer or the market decide. When we did the traffic study initially, we estimated about 4 to 5 year, 5-year mark? 4 or 5 years. So what we did is we thought it wouldn't build any more than that.
Now, I saw that, I saw some of, a little bit of the sketch of your site plans of what the house is, how you will build that. Were those plans shown to our fire department? Because those roads just really, really look very narrow. And it just doesn't make any sense to me how narrow they are right now. Because for the fire truck, especially like the big one that we have right now, I'm more than sure by looking at your drawings right there that a truck will not be able to be turning around by that subdivision. So I'm really concerned about that. I would like to get those plans to be given to the fire department and stuff like that, and make sure that our trucks are able to turn around and everything else in case of an emergency. Just the whole number to me is just such a problem. I think I appreciate the fact that you brought the drawings and stuff. The length that this may take, even the 5 years for having vehicles going in and out of that area trying to build these homes is problematic to me, because even though you may say, the trucks, the construction trucks are going to be on the back of the subdivision, I do not completely believe that, because you're still going to have a lot of construction bringing in stuff every day, possibly, most likely every day. And this is from somebody that used to build houses, many houses in the past. So those are concerns to me that it is definitely not fair for the rest of the citizens to have to deal with this for years to come.
Thank you. Go ahead. Unless you were addressing the access off of Kimball and Summit and to get to, they are, our fire truck service those.
I was looking at the angle down.
Yeah, the drawing we showed is all those roads are town standard, sized and designed.
I mean, that can be a standard, but the problem is that there is not another exit out of the back. And so, if you don't have another exit to the back, the turns look really hard. But that's important to see, because I want to make sure that a fire truck can actually turn around, that we're not building roads where our vehicles won't be able to access if there is any, emergency out there.
I'm confused.
And I also wanted to find out, so can you prove besides what you have given us today that Lubna is not a viable route because of the terrain? Because from my understanding, the terrain, I mean, you can always, as far as, it just may cost a lot more money, but as far as the terrain is something that can be, deal with. But right now, you're just dealing with the fact that it's not yours, and that's the reason why. Well, obviously, it's not yours, but you're working with the, with the builder. But as far as that goes, there is ability to connect to Lubna. And it's not just the terrain, it's just financially. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, that's not correct. There is no legal means for us to access Lubna Drive.
Okay. I'm sure money can talk to it. Okay.
Well, that's beside the point. Ms. Did you remember what you were trying to say a minute ago? I got you. You got one shot at it.
Well,
In less than a minute.
okay. So I just want to say for everybody here, and the people who are dealing with this concerns, this has been a long time. One thing is because Christine and I came new, to another town council person, Casey was there, that's a lot of changes. But I would like to say that I'm just excited to see so many people participating and voicing their concerns and also getting the opportunity for him to present his case. It's great news.
Thank you.
again on the development that's being built off of Summit Ridge Road. Is that right? Okay, so there is one in Zach. Okay.
Do you want to share
Now for
your?
the picture of what I saw,
You want to share your figure that
Oh,
you came up with?
Yeah,
We
just
can-
very quick and not very fancy math. For 90 homes at $375,000. I was just doing the math to know what the change in the cost would be if there were 53 homes, and the number that I came up with was $636,792. I was just going to make sure you weren't checking there. Okay.
I mean, that's a scientific wild guess as close as anybody could, but it will dramatically increase the cost of the housing. Ms. Hicks, did you have another comment? And I'm going to wrap it up.
once again, I'm just gonna mention, we have been speaking about this for over an hour now. I hope that the citizens get an hour next time. Thank you.
The next time will be when we vote, and that'll be under a 3-minute citizens' comments.
They should be able to have a presentation as well.
That's all done. And we've had several presentations, diagrams, and talking with and stuff. So the next thing will be, we will meet on the 24th. When it will come up to discussion by mayor and council. There will not be another public hearing on it, but you do have 3 minutes under citizens' comments to bring forth anything else, any new ideas. But that's pretty much it. We've heard a lot of comments, and believe me, I've read every email that has been sent concerning this. I forwarded it on to planning to make sure they had it. So there are a lot of issues out there. Hopefully some of the questions that some of you may have had have been clarified a little bit tonight. We certainly hope so. So with that, I'm going to thank everybody.
Who owns Luna right now again, Mr. Mayor?
Who owns Ludna?
Yeah, the property where Luna is.
Mr. Mayor, I went there. That is steeper than I thought it was. It's extremely steep place, so I doubt there's
So,
even if you wouldn't get there was permission from private people to.
I think that is the Foursquare Church that owns all that land abutting to Lubna. Is that correct?
Up to that subdivision.
Yeah.
At the end of Lubna, it's just two property owners. It's a big little.
Like a driveway.
Property at the end of the cul-de-sac. So there's a way. So it's really only 3 houses right in the line where Lubna would have gone. There are 3 houses in the city.
My question for you is just based on some of the neighbor feedback questions that they had, and I don't know that we can answer it right now, but the question was about, if each person gets 3 minutes, but someone's not comfortable speaking, could they get up to speak and then provide their notes to someone else to speak on their behalf, even if that person has spoken for 3 minutes? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Who answered that question? He said that was okay. I don't know. We have shared time before. If they're not comfortable, then I would say they would have 3 minutes for somebody. It'll be posted and given to council. All right. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none.
Statement relative to sharing the information for tonight.
That's how you manage a speaker.
Well, we will post the video of this conversation in the morning, and we will accompany that with your written documentation.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Folks, thank you for showing up. This is going to end this portion of the work session. We appreciate your time and efforts. You're certainly welcome to stay on and talk about a new program an internal program that we have. We'll take a 2 or 3 minute break just to let the ring clear. Yes, it's kind of like we're going into closed session. We're not We're gonna take a potty break if we need it.
We're still live. Turning there, if somebody can look, it basically gives when they pull off. So when they pull off, and this traffic is coming fast, it gives them time to slow down.
25 miles an hour.
Well, either way, even if it's not, it keeps it stops rear end crashes. Turn lanes are meant to stop rear end crashes, where somebody gets smacked in the back of somebody else because they're as far as people coming out of the road, they got to stop. So if they pull out, their fault. It's failure to yield right.
Right, I understand, but sometimes the problem is that I would think to 25 to 50 an hour because our company
And we can look at that. So we can. So outside of Tillman, you do a speed. People request the speed study all the time, and if let's say it's we can do a speed study ourselves for that section to see if it warrants lowering.
Steve, thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Because what happens is you drop, people are used to going a certain speed.
Okay. I've gaveled it in. Would you let
Let me in.
Steve, you're free to stay, go, and I think that you're going home. Put your gutters in. So the second portion of it, we're entering into the discussion on Christiansburg. Miles is giving some information on presentations, and Christina, will you be doing it?
We're gonna tag team it.
Okay, you're going to tag team the presentation and the discussion and the comments.
We had several questions, around Launch Christiansburg. You've received in your email one version of the presentation, had some subsequent questions. So we have added additional information to the handout that you'll see. I'll turn it over to Christine now. Two different documents for slides, and then packets. So, a little bit of background so that I can help people, and I'm going to share with you what I do because I came through the process later on in the process. But we had a small business solutions position that came up with this great idea and worked with our manager to implement the idea of this program that would help support people who are interested in starting their own businesses. There are several goals within the program that we'll get into, so I'm not going to get into too much detail just yet. But what I do want to point out is that shortly before the program was about to start, the person who was spearheading that program had to take a new position and was not able to carry through with the program at all. Daria was actually tapped in to help with the program to assist with it, but was not the main point of contact for it. So when that turnover happened, and simultaneously we had a finance director, we've had
got a new assistant town manager, a little bit of turnover in positions that had conversations about this. There was a small team of us left to kind of put the pieces back together and see how we could grow it and put fresh eyes on it and try to continue the good work that had been started. So Daria and I carried out the first year of Launch Christiansburg, and then we were able to hire Miles, and Miles carried out the second year of Launch Christiansburg along with Daria, and they have grown it exponentially. I am very proud of the work that Daria and I did on the program and put together so last minute with really no information on what the program was supposed to be, but to see where we started and where we've come is just really exciting. So we're going to share with you some facts, figures. We're going to share with you some information on how the program has changed between the 2 years. So I wanted to start with just what Launch has meant for aspiring small business owners up until this point. So we've had 28 aspiring entrepreneurs who explored their startup ideas with Christiansburg support. So they know that Christiansburg is a supportive place for people interested in being in the business community. We've had 22 graduating participants that are now equipped with the tools and resources needed to start their business. We've had 6 existing businesses who have refined their business model, and then in the past 2 years, we've had 4 new startups launch. So these are some of the short-term program goals. So we wanted to build foundational knowledge, provide aspiring entrepreneurs with a clear understanding of basic business principles, increasing their likelihood of success when ready to launch. So one thing that a lot of people who want to bring a business to Christiansburg have expressed that they struggle with is not being able to know where they need to start, where they need to begin, what all that entails. They have this dream and this vision, but they don't know how to implement it. Now they do through this program. Cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset. So challenge participants to strengthen critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, and resilience. So it's one thing to have an idea and to have a vision and want to bring a business to Christiansburg, but also are you critically thinking about all the challenges that you might run into? Are there things that maybe you're missing because this is the first time that you have tried to start a business? We want to help set you up for success and eliminate as many barriers as we can for you. Create a path to the future. Help aspiring entrepreneurs turn their ideas into actionable business plans. Foster collaboration. Create a collaborative space for aspiring entrepreneurs to discuss, test, and refine their business plans. This is something that the participants seem to really appreciate, which is being able to have a place where they can sit and know that they can throw an idea out and someone may say, I think this might work a little better, and you don't feel judged and you don't feel like people are shooting you down. You all are after the same thing, which is a successful business to meet a need in Christiansburg that you feel is in. And then building an ecosystem. So connecting the cohort to the business community at large. We do this by linking up the participants with mentors. We have engaged with sponsors throughout the community who support the program. We have guest speakers who come in and speak from their vantage point and expertise on relevant subjects to each class and other ideas. These are some of our long-term goals. So lowering barriers to entry so that entrepreneurship is more accessible for everyone. If someone has this dream to start a business in Christiansburg, they have to know where to start. They don't know what steps they need to take, what licenses they need. They don't know, about financial planning and should they start with a financial planner or do they not need one at this point in their business plan yet? We're going to walk them through all of that. And ideally, that will help eliminate some of the things that could prove to be major setbacks in their business, potentially closing their business if they don't do it the right way. We're helping them do it the wisest, the most strategic way. And then build a growing population of entrepreneurs in our community that are able to bring new businesses to life. And then encourage and support the founding of new businesses that contribute to the economic vitality and unique character of our town. So these are our long-term goals. It takes a a lot, as you all know, to start a business. We're not expecting to just turn over businesses after every cycle. A lot of people that come to launch Christiansburg are just in the beginning phase of trying to figure out what it is that they need to do, and that takes time. It also takes money, and not everybody has a lot of capital to start off. So we're walking you through ways that you can fund your endeavor. Launch growth. This is hitting on a couple of the changes that we've made from the first year to the second year. So the first year, we did what was called a canvas, which is similar to a business plan but different. It's one page, and a business plan is more detailed. So instead of the one-page canvas, participants now create a traditional business plan for their venture, which is preferred by banks and other investors. So if they go to ask for money, they can give the detailed business plan versus a canvas, which people aren't as familiar with. Attendance. So originally, you could have one excused absence, and then your deposit becomes non-refundable if you miss more than one class. But we saw a need to adjust that, and so participant is no longer eligible for the award if they miss more than 2 classes at the end. So we really want to encourage attendance, involvement. This is something we want people to just skate through and try to pitch at the end. We want them to be engaged and set up for success. Program expansion. We now accept applicants from Montgomery County, but that is with parameters. So originally, there were a lot of restrictions. It was only Christiansburg residents. But what we want are people to come to Christiansburg, and maybe you're not in Christiansburg right now, but we still want you to come here. But we also recognize that there aren't a lot of options for programs like this in our area. So we thought, what if we can open it up to people outside of Christiansburg, and if they want to start in Christiansburg, then they're eligible for the money, but if they don't, then they're not eligible, but they can still gain the knowledge that we have to offer. And this helps with the perception of Christiansburg as a support the business community, no matter what place that you're in, and then also shows that we are a place that you want to be. So maybe you start off thinking, I live in Blacksburg or Montgomery County or anywhere, all great places, but you think that, you live in this area and this is where I want to start my business. But then you come to launch and you see how much you learn, and you see how supportive the town is, and you see all the opportunities and resources that we're offering. And ideally, we'll have some people that say, you know what, I'm really seeing what Christiansburg's doing for our business community, and we want to bring our business there. And I think you'll see by a lot of the feedback that we've received that people are really tracking with us and the work that we're trying to accomplish by being better communicators and partners with our business. Many workshops, we offered these the first year. We are not offering these in 2026. A lot of the people that were at the workshop came to the classes, but there was a lot of crossover, right?
There was not a lot.
There was not a lot.
The
Okay, I got that backwards.
The main workshops generally not end up coming
In the class. So the value of spending time on the workshop for people that were not coming to the class just didn't seem to make sense for how much time we were putting into it, so we cut that out. And then programming, new internal cost-effective programming for 2026. This will save the town at least $7,000 to $8,000 in recurring yearly licensing fees. I want to touch on this because I'm really proud of Miles and Daria for all the hard work they've put in this. So the curriculum that we had before was great, but if we can save taxpayers money, we obviously want to do that, even though this program right now is not funded through taxpayer dollars. It is just an additional way that we can save money. So Daria and Miles are working through creating an all-new curriculum that is based off of the information that we've shared before, but it better reflects what we've seen in our community. So we're taking more time and slowing down a little bit on things like financials, because that's really tough. And in the previous program, we kind of just have to fly through everything. So we've had 2 good cycles of seeing what a good pace is and what information people are really needing to hone in on. And we are catering to that for what we're seeing, and we'll continue to do that.
balance with opening it up to the county as well, how we balance that with residents versus non-residents. So the table here is just to kind of help visually break it down. So the two columns are resident versus non-resident, and then the two rows are the top row is competing for awards. So this would be anybody who is eligible for award funds would be in that top row across, and then auditing the class for anybody who would not be eligible for award funds but still want to take the class for the educational purposes, the connections. They would be in the bottom row. So priority would go residents who are competing for award would get first priority, and then it would go to non-residents competing for awards, and then it would go to everybody else that is auditing the class. And then similar to how like Parks and Rec would be resident, non-resident, the resident fee is just a little bit less expensive than the non-resident fee. And then the other difference here is everyone who is eligible and competing for awards, their deposit is refundable at the end of the program if they attend, I think it's 9 out of 10 classes. If they're auditing the class, their deposit is non-refundable. So that's just some of the differences in the pricing there. Sure.
Are we limited on the number of seats when it's been the demand in the first 2 years?
Yeah, so the first, actually, go to the next slide.
Yeah.
That's perfect timing. Okay, so if you look in kind of the number side on the right, in the left column, so you see 14 applicants in 2024 and 12 accepted. So in 2024, our limit was 12 seats. We increased that in 2025 to 16 seats. And throughout the course, we generally will end up losing a few people because of attendance or scheduling conflicts, or maybe some people realize maybe I'm not quite ready for this, and they decide not to continue with the program. So there will be a certain percentage of people that drop out as we go through, and we are thinking of lowering that to kind of a middle ground. So instead of 12 the first year, 16 the second year, somewhere between 12 and 14 for this upcoming year.
So for instance, sorry, really quickly, in our first year when we had the 12 accepted, we had a gentleman who I think came to one class and then had a change in a job, I think, and then wasn't able to come anymore. So it's not reflective of anything except life happens. So
I would think if it's workable,
Great question. So it starts with kind of focusing on the residents and the people who are competing for the awards. That's a big part of the program, is getting all the way through the pitch competition. So we prioritize the people who are residents first, and then we broaden that up to residents and non-residents who are competing for funds, and then kind of the lowest priority were the people who were auditing the class. But it also depended on if you look in the packet here, one of these pages, I guess, the third page is the application. And so the front page of the application is kind of like the contact information. And then the back page is where it gets into more of the, I guess, hopes and aspirations. Like, what are your plans for your business? What do you want to get out of the program? So these kinds of answers did also impact if someone was more expressing like, I'm interested in learning, I'm here to pick up as much information and connections as possible, like that's a really strong advocate. But if somebody comes in and says, I don't want to get anything out of the program, I'm just here for the money, then that would be like, it's a little bit of everything. Does that answer your question?
That's committee review of that.
that's not been a committee review.
I have a question.
Sorry, when you said audit, yeah, so that just means that they attend the class, but they are not eligible for award. So they just receive the information.
I'm assuming that this program is
I'm not sure. That's yeah.
anybody, I didn't know what you're saying.
material benefit.
What it means is the program is beneficial. So if somebody attended it as an immediate family member, essentially where you could have if you have a personal benefit, you are supposed to submit that. So that is where I'm at.
Is that directed toward us or something?
Or no,
Okay.
Now, can I say something?
I just don't want to.
I'm saying it because Robbie participated. Johanna, hang on just a second.
Hang on, Joanna.
Hang on.
You're out of line for a
She's
minute.
asking because Robbie participated in the program last year. So I emailed Koya because I was like, yeah, I can disclose, but then I was like, I don't know what to disclose because he's not actively in the program. I emailed the Koya office, and what they said was, yes, there's nothing for us to disclose because he's not in the program this year, but I'm sharing that he was in the program last year, but he received, he's not
I am
involved in the program.
because it's my understanding that it's a mentorship program, and that we, even though when they finish the program, that we're following the people that are in the program. Is that true or not?
I mean, I personally do like to keep in touch with them to see how they're going, and they're more than, open to come to me
So
for
there's
any.
no requirement that once they finish the 10 classes, that we follow and make sure that.
We encourage, I've encouraged Miles to make sure that we maintain relationships with everyone, if they need any help, but we don't have any, I don't require him to reach out to everyone. I may say, hey, do you want to see, if, or like for the thought grant or for this, hey, do you want to reach out and see if there's anything anybody needs, but there's no requirement. But we,
Can I ask this question? Is there a distinction between the support, whatever that looks like, if you're auditing versus if you received a grant?
no, we just support anyone who's interested in starting a business the same way that we would, but, and if someone wanted to come in and ask, questions that we share in launch, we would share those outside of launch. We're not gatekeeping those in any way.
Even if you want to participate?
Yeah, even if you want to participate and you come in and you say, hey, I'm having a hard time with financials and I need help walking through that, you can come in and Miles can walk you through that. But we don't require anyone to stay connected to us. We're just here as a resource.
Okay, Ms. Hicks.
Now, can I ask you a question? All right, so Tanya, did you email Koya about that?
Yes. Yeah, I emailed him.
Okay, so can you please forward those emails to me, please, as a FOIA request? And then also, I have a question for you, Christina.
Sorry, what
Who authorized the changes? Who authorized the changes for the program for the $100 option under there for the county?
Yeah, there was,
Non-person corrections and the NRV hoping to open a location outside the town for $100 non-refundable. Can you explain that to me a little bit?
yeah, that was just a conversation that we had internally about how we wanted to open this up. This program is not town funded, it's funded through, fundraising, and it's, that's just something we all talked about and decided was a good fit. It was an administrative.
Well, but, so just to get some information, working committees, the mayor appoints members of council for working committees at the beginning of each year. The committees addresses matters such as emergency services or finances which require details and discussion. Council members attend committee meetings and then report back to the town council for deliberation and final action. This was county stuff. Those are checks that are being written out of the town of Christiansburg, and obviously the money comes in, but it's still this money that's coming out of the checking accounts through the town of Christiansburg. So I do believe from now on, like anything like this, just to follow the protocol that we have followed, I just would really, really like to continue to see that being followed. And obviously, it seems like I think some of the emails would obviously stand out for Tanya hacking and everything, which I do have kind of a problem with that because even when I was looking at some of the pictures from the affluent Christiansburg and stuff, one of the things that I do not want to see, even though it may be okay, I do feel like if we are members of council, we should not really try to benefit because I just feel like it's unethical. especially like I just realized in the pictures that I saw last night or today that obviously Mr. Tim Wilson, which is not in council anymore, but he was at the time, his daughter actually was part of the program. And I find that kind of problematic, and how does that make us look like in front of the town, ethically?
Yeah, we researched that, and we had extensive conversations with the COIA office because you had previously expressed some concern about that, and they said that there wasn't a problem, so we moved forward. I think that if there is a different direction, I'm not sure how we need to be informed of that, but we were all clear to allow the people that we allowed in this year's cycle. So I guess I just am not sure what.
I just feel like it should be very ethical for the council members, even the current ones, to make disclosures. There is nothing wrong to make disclosures when, we know for a fact, or we may know that one of our members of our family, they may not have to live in our home, but I feel like that should be part of our code of ethics. I just feel like we shouldn't follow a path where we are getting advantages, even though it may be okay, through the state. I just think it's unethical, and that's just my
Thank you very much. Okay. Would you like to go ahead?
Real quick, to follow up, you mentioned the FOIA. Can you tell me what it is that you're requesting so I can get that for you?
Oh, yes. Tanya said that she emailed the COIA regarding this one avalanche Christiansburg, and I want to see the reply for that.
The reply from COIA. If there are several emails, like how long are you?
Yes. As many emails as she had, send out to them and come back. That would be great.
Forever or just the past month?
Just for the last year on the COIA stuff regarding Uplands, Christiansburg, and then obviously I did get the ones for the playground, which it was interesting to see those two.
Okay.
I noticed in here there's also, they'll write down which ones were residents versus non-residents.
So that is something that I was tracking internally, and that's a good idea to put on the application moving forward. But I did track who's a resident based on their home address. And then we made sure to track at the end when we were doing reimbursements to make sure that we were only giving reimbursements to before the deposit for people who were eligible for the deposit reimbursement and who made the attendance requirement.
Round two.
Okay.
We've had,
I don't know if I can think of all of them off the top of my head, but I think the one that I can think of was in the town.
okay, you said there was a deadline extension for this program, right? Yeah.
I don't think
You
there
had,
was.
yes, it was.
Was there?
Yeah.
Maybe it was because.
Because you made changes to the program.
Okay.
After you did the deadline extension, you would change the program. How many applicants did you get?
I am not sure off the top of my head. I think
No,
we
it was the launch.
I think we did.
I'm not recalling, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
A few weeks into July or something like that, because I think the deadline was end of June or beginning of July. I think we extended it by 2 weeks.
As I recall, this is going off memory. I don't remember when the decision was made to accept people from the county, because I know we had a lot of people from the county that attended the mini workshop. They want to open business in Christiansburg. And so the extension was provided because we had people who were all of a sudden eligible to audit the class that needed some
number of what we had versus what came in after. But the 16 accepted, we did weight them, so we looked at only town residents first. And looked at their applications. We looked at the people who lived outside after, and the 3 that did not get accepted, not only did they not live in Christiansburg, but they didn't commit to wanting to actually have their business in Christiansburg either. So we have some faith.
Okay. Is there any way I can get that information related to how many applicants came back? I need to have the application still.
You still have the application.
Okay.
They're all in P-Drive.
Yeah, we're still
all
on
that I
the
sent you, all that information. The application. All right.
Okay, would you like to continue now?
Sure. Yeah, so on the awards granted, so in each year we had $8,000 in total grant awards. First place would get $5,000, second place would get $2,000, and third place in the pitch competition would get $1,000. So total $8,000 for each year. In 2024, we had one winner that was not able to get their business off the ground within the deadline to get the funds. So that is the reason that only 2 of the 3 awards were utilized, and that's 6 out of 8,000. And then in 2025, again, 8,000, I guess, granted. And then it's still up until mid-June that they have to use their grant funds. So that is to be determined how much of that grant money they use.
They have 1 year to use the funds.
It's about 6 months because the program ends just before Thanksgiving, and then they have until June of the following year.
And to clarify my earlier question.
Are you guys putting,
I'm sorry, Ms. Eagle has the floor. Go ahead.
I had asked if there was a committee structure to make the selections for who moved into the program. I was thinking about staff, not council committees, so just by way of clarification.
Okay.
Is it the staff group that makes the decision, or is it just you? How does that work?
We did discuss it as staff. It was
Staff
in
group.
The first year, I'm not sure how they did that. Do you know how?
The first year, the previous employee in our position, she did the initial vetting of the application and then just asked for my confirmation on what she believed was the applicant. It was kind of the same.
For year 1. Right. So we followed similar to that process, but we're more detailed, considered, weighting scale for different applications.
All right. This chart is from a. Oh,
I'm sorry, Joanna, you did have a question. I'm sorry. What is it?
yeah, are there any restrictions for this program, like maybe reapplying if you didn't get the grant the year before? Can the person continue to take the class until they get the money? I mean, what are the restrictions and stuff that you guys are basing this out of? Because obviously if you take the class once, you shouldn't have to take it more than once, right? You should have learned the information already.
I think there is one rule in the rules, I think it's the first part of the packet here, that says something to the effect of if you win first prize, you cannot participate again. I don't think we've seen any repeat applications from people who have been in the program, and I don't expect to see that. But if that becomes an issue, then we can address that.
Well, wouldn't it be better to do it before it happens? And even if it happens to be the first 3 winners, I just don't feel like, I mean, it's still a lot of money to get from.
Now exiting.
Sam?
Yeah, we can definitely discuss.
The workshops were intended to be an extension of this program?
It was more like a preliminary, easier topics like we had a marketing workshop. To sort of, get the buzz going and see who might be interested.
I noticed there was a workshop the other day.
That is a different program. That's our growth group. So it's not related to lunch.
Okay.
That means marketing.
I was reading on the calendar, so I don't know if the marketing is working or not. But I did notice it was on there. I was like, that's interesting.
Please continue.
Okay, perfect. So
Can I ask one more question before you go on? With the what is the reason behind that I understand this was started by Amanda Huber and stuff, and you guys continue, which feels like some of the stuff that you guys did was good, but I am trying to find out, I know that the Chamber of Commerce has given some money on and stuff like that, and the economic development from the county too has given some money out to this and stuff, but why isn't the Chamber of Commerce running this? And the reason why I'm asking that is because I'm going to give you a personal experience with this whole thing. I went to a while back, I've been trying to do something else with to the business, and I need a business plan. And for me to be able to get to that point, I was contacting the county. And the county, every time I contacted the county, the economic development, they always transfer me to the town to Miles East information, which I cannot get. I don't want to get near that, especially because of my position in town council. And so, long story short, it hasn't gone anywhere and everything else. But my question is, I understand it's great that the town is doing this and stuff, but at the same time, I do know that the Chamber of Commerce is being very involved kind of with the program as well. Is this something that maybe, is there a possibility that maybe we can hand it out to like maybe the Chamber of Commerce and stuff like that, especially since, and also, you know, the county, we have an economic developer there that we also pay money to, which we feel like, well, I personally feel like we're not getting that much from the county as far as benefits go, and they are, you know, we're relying on our own sources, even though we pay all this money to the county, which we're still county members. So that's just kind of a concern for me. And that's just coming from the outside, just looking in and trying to find out, you know, how to make the business bigger and everything else in different ways. And so that's my question.
You want to launch Christiansburg to the county so that the county can tell the town that, like, can provide the town business guidance so that you can access the program?
No, this program has nothing to do with it. This program, it would be good for like the Chamber of Commerce or somebody else like that. What I was thinking was for them to run it since they're so involved, and obviously they want to continue to help businesses grow. We do have an economic developer in the county, which is pretty much, you know, one of the excuses was that because we have an economic developer in the town that we're unable to use those, pretty much use those resources, or for me especially, use those resources. So I was wondering, what are the chances of this program, you know, why is it that we're taking on programs like this when the Chamber of Commerce can possibly do this?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Johanna. I would say, just from our perspective, Miles and myself, and I think Daria, and I'm not sure who else I feel comfortable speaking for, but I don't think that we could assume or answer why the Chamber is running this program or a program like this. I think that would be a question you would maybe want to talk to the Chamber about if they consider things like this. But I do feel like even with economic development for Montgomery County, they're considering all of Montgomery County, including the two towns. But for us, we are only considering people who want to come and be a part of Christiansburg because Christiansburg is our priority. So that's why we are really proud of this program and feel like it's proving to be successful because we're able to help people who want to be in Christiansburg and don't have to rely on the county who's, you know, considering everyone else, or the chamber who's considering everyone else. It's about our residents and our taxpayers and our people who want to be residents and or taxpayers, or maybe just own a business.
But you just mentioned that we are able to allow county members to be able to participate.
Right.
So it's not necessarily just for the town.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like the time, I want to know how much the staff time is taking on this for the stuff. I know you guys said that you're looking into time for that, and I also wanted to reply to Tanya. I'm not you, Tanya. Like I said, I want to stay away from this, and so I am definitely not going to get involved with programs like that, especially because there may be any conflict of interest in the future, and I don't want any of that.
Is it in your secondary?
Yeah, do you have that?
No, we don't track staff time, and we've never been instructed from council to track staff time, so that's not something we have to do.
So that
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let's move
Didn't
on.
I hear that in the past that you guys were tracking the time that you were doing on that, or from where did I hear that from?
I'm not sure where you were talking about. We've never tracked our time for projects or work that we do within, well, at least within my department. I can't speak for any other department.
the only time we would track time would be specifically if it was for reimbursement. So,
It's a private program.
yeah.
I think it's in 2 years. I think the first year was a little rough. It was, simply because a lot of irons got dropped out of the fire, and we stepped in and rescued the best we could. This past year, I thought, was a great year with a lot of participants, and you've addressed turning this thing over to the Chamber of Commerce. My question is why? I mean, the Chamber of Commerce will help you if you're a member paying a couple of $1,000 a year, but this is something that is for us, and they do support us. A lot of their members of the Chamber are our mentors and lecturers and everything else, so they're on board with it not only with the small financial contribution, but also with time and matching time. So it is coming from out of there, and it's, this to me is one of the greatest programs like this that we've run. I think the possible ending benefit is new business, small business, independent business, which is what makes what makes the towns grow.
But I do appreciate the feedback because it is new. We were pulled in, last minute last year. This is our full cycle with 2 dedicated people to it. So we are working through things and we are trying to figure stuff out. So please feel free to ask us questions or challenges.
With that in mind, 2026 sponsorship, that's a 2024 or 2025 that we want them on. Okay, and next question, fee structure.
Okay.
Where are the fees going back to like auditing / if somebody drops out of the class, where does that money, does it go back to the general fund or does it go back into the program?
I think that will be,
It should go back into the program.
I think it will go back into the program and just carry over. We have had conversations about that because that's not something that we had thought of before. So we've talked to Katie about that and have been talking through what that looks like. And there have been a lot of questions around financials in general and how we weren't a part of the conversation when it originally came to council, and so trying to figure out and backtrack, and then 2 people who essentially started and had the conversations about the program aren't even here anymore. So it has been challenging to try and put all the pieces together. But I think that where we've been the past couple months with discussing how that money is going to work is that it would be a rolling fund into next year's program and just continue to roll.
Where the numbers came from is the $200, the deposit that's refundable. $200 was selected because the course material talked about $250. So the intent was that if someone took the book and ran and didn't complete the course, then we'd have recouped some of the cost of that course material that was taken.
I want to clarify the town resident versus non-town resident. That idea came about because not all owners of town businesses live within town. So the goal of allowing non-residents into the program was to have them come from the outside to Christiansburg, see how great Christiansburg is, and open up a business in Christiansburg. Now, whether that happens or not, that's certainly only entrepreneur as an individual. We wanted to open up that opportunity to bring people in and show them what we have.
Right. There was something in there about tracking
high-level view of where our graduates are.
And just real quickly on the tracking and employee time based on different programs, I'm working to understand everyone's work plan, and making sure that that's aligned with council's priorities, and what we're trying to accomplish overall, ultimately build into a strategic plan. So, I was surprised to hear that we're not tracking our time that way. I'm not accustomed to doing that in my program. However, understanding everyone's work plan and the priorities is a piece of focus. So even though we're not tracking it, we are looking at it programs. I think contacting is helpful because that way you have to get overloaded, especially if you have multiple tasks. If you get overloaded, it gives you an opportunity to talk to your manager. Well, sorry for confusion. That's me.
Alright.
So this is the survey from 2024 on the left and 2025 on the right. And this is as the participants were going through the course, what industries their businesses were in. So in the left you can see the first year there was a little bit more diversity. There was some in entertainment, food and beverage, health and wellness, a little bit here and there. And then in 2025 it kind of boiled down to a few of the bigger industries, mostly in health and wellness and food and beverage, and then some other services. In terms of the awards, so the requirements for award money, so these are the minimum eligibility criteria. The awardees must have a Christiansburg business license before receiving any award money. They have to be current on all relevant town taxes. They have to have a primary physical location within town limits. So if this is a restaurant or a retail location, it has to be based in Christiansburg, and if it's a service or another similar home-based occupation, it has to be an approved home occupation application through planning and zoning. And then the awardees will have until this year's June 12th, 2026 to utilize their funds. And this can also be found in the Launch Christiansburg award rules and regulations. I have not seen anything about that.
I did check one today with a question about relative to business license current taxes. Just check out that.
Off the top of my head, none of the winners so far have reported their address at the chamber. Okay, and then this last page is the sponsors. So a lot of our big support comes from the National Bank of Blacksburg and some other banks around town. And then the County Economic Development Department does provide a big sponsorship to our program. So the sponsors are, again, the primary reason that this program is funded every year. And we are very appreciative to all of our sponsors for allowing us to provide this kind of program for our Christiansburg. So I'll hand it back to you.
Last thing members can touch on is just looking at some of the direct impacts. I'm going to show you a video from our last year's graduation message. Has a couple of speakers that can attest to their experience with the program, and then you'll also see on screen some comments that came from various post surveys or communications of how people felt about the program.
During the process, we talked about just doing it all. And I am proud to say that I just did it. And I quit my full-time job for 20 years as an emergency veterinary nurse to join my husband full-time. And our business has been so successful since we started. And I just want to thank you guys so much. You were there for the whole thing. Every panic, every stress moment I had, I just thought in his office and Kate's like, you got this, you got this. And I'm like, are you just being a cheerleader or is this really good? And I just did it. And thank you guys so much. And thank you
better to get that office. Having me down the way for to have people that are there for you, that are encouraging you, and that are willing to be your bodyguards and complete class. It's pretty cool. Have everybody rally around each other. So it's find out who for this whole series. So thankful for the people that met, all speakers, sponsors, our fearless leaders here, and for all these.
Just one word, the tools that I need to have my tool belt and move forward community to do with other entrepreneurs who are thinking through things really well, and then especially really enjoying the speakers who came in. Richie, Rachel, others who gave their time to share with us their experiences. I found that to be really helpful. Hearing real world, this is what's going on in my business, here's how to do things in specific ways, whether it be accounting or talking with a lawyer or finding a space that you can lead. So yeah, really grateful for this experience, and I have learned a lot. And yeah, just really, I would echo that you guys really are a great fit for this program. The way you taught, the way you facilitated the course is really fantastic. So thank you.
So just a couple of things on that. We can talk about facts and figures, and that information is very important. But what I really like about this is that it shows the impact of the program, not from us and what we believe in, because we love the program, but it's from the people who are actually taking it. And we're really proud of that. The first person that you heard from, they actually had a business, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but her husband had started a business, but they wanted to expand on it. They wanted it to be bigger. And we were, and I say we, it's not he, it's you two, were able to give them the tools and the confidence and the preparedness to be able to, because she quit her full-time job after how many years? 20? Yeah. And to be able to pursue that because they were in a place to be able to do that. And then the second and third people who spoke were people who want to open a brick and mortar space within Christiansburg and spoke to how impactful and choking up about how now they feel so much more prepared to be able to bring that to life. So I'm really proud of how far the program has come. I definitely think there's room for growth. And again, I appreciate the questions and the pushback because that's how we're going to be able to get better. But I also hope that you all will be able to see that the proof is here. That people are very receptive.
When I was,
I have one row.
wait a minute, Johanna, let me talk first. So, I had I rented a home, fixed the back porch, so it made bread in. And so, I had to go to take accounting classes, and I had to learn all about I didn't some of the things. So the sink, make sure it's always that kind of thing, people exactly how to come. With the finances, and I went over to Tech Small Business and asked them if they could assist me, and they said, no, you're going to small business. So this was awesome. I mean, I would have loved to have had this opportunity.
Okay, John.
You guys, when you guys are doing these applications and stuff, and are you allowing people then that have businesses from home? Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
It's on a case-by-case basis.
And now, are you requiring home occupancy for that and stuff like that, like the whole thing program that you have to go through the planning commission and all the stuff to be able to have a business at home to be able to do that? Or not at all?
Yes. So if they're going to win the award, then yes, they would have to have it approved through planning and zoning, and then also a business license with that.
Just to add, for home occupation, there are two types. There's a minor and a major. Only major home occupations go through a conditional use permit process. Those are the types of businesses that have customers come into the house, like the beauty salon that council saw last year. Minor home occupations mean that there is very minimal to zero impact to the neighborhood for the business they have at home. That's going to be people who are like IT support, where it's just them in their office. There's no
we took
But
a little different. Okay.
But isn't it, aren't you supposed to, well, and here's the thing, because aren't you wanting to have like those buildings that are filled up with this businesses and stuff like that? It doesn't typically, I don't understand why, I mean, there's so many businesses that I guess can start from home, but my biggest concern is too, like long-time businesses that probably have been here can be affected even by, not having the same financial ability that some of the people are able to get right now. For example, I was looking at the straight shop and stuff like that, which it seems like it was awarded $5,000, but this is a business that's run out of the house. And so I'm just curious about, how it is trying to help older businesses too that are in the community that maybe have those buildings that are doing the same things that she's doing, like printing out T-shirts and things like that, of that sort, and not being able to, kind of make them feel like they don't have the same word, because now all of a sudden, I mean, what's going to keep me away from opening up a shop if I can do it from home? I mean, there's a lot of ability for people to do jobs from their homes nowadays. And so, I don't know, I would love for this program to move in a direction where these people are wanting to open up their stores.
Yeah, I think that when we mentioned short-term and long-term goals, that's a big part of it. Is one, the program is, we definitely want there to be brick-and-mortar stores, but the program is focused on helping entrepreneurs get started and get going, and if they already have a business, to take it to the next level. So really meeting people where they are in that business journey. Sometimes like people who maybe are looking for a brick-and-mortar space and they're ready to go and they have the money, but sometimes it may look like people who are not quite there, but they need somewhere to start, and that's still a benefit to the town. You mentioned the straight shop, and so I wanted Miles to share, because that is a question that I had too that we kind of worked through. He gave me some good information that I think would be helpful to counsel.
Yeah, so the straight shop is a home occupation, so she does all of her stuff from her home. She prints and ships everything, and she manages everything from her home. Her ultimate goal is to start a retail location. She wants a brick and mortar, but as we were working through the program, looking at the financials, the viability of the different options, it was a much bigger expense than she initially thought. And so instead of jumping straight to a retail location, even if she wasn't quite ready for it, she decided to baby step it and take maybe a smaller step. And so she's going to be going to reach out to more wholesale organizations so that she can grow her business base before she jumps into a retail location. So while she's not moving into a retail location right now, hopefully this program is something that helps her get to that next stepping stone so that one day she can move into a retail location.
And sometimes there are people who have gone through the program, even though it's still in its infancy, that may get in there and say, you know what, like I am just not ready for that, but that doesn't mean that it's a failure either, because what we're interested in is giving people the tools to be able to have long-term success. We don't want a business to go in downtown Christiansburg and then fail in 3 months. We want them to be prepared for all the challenges that are going to come, and that's what we're doing. So success is measured differently within this program, but we feel like we have enough of the statistical support to reference that, at least at this point, it's moving forward. Now, if we continue this program in 10 years and then we, feel like it's not successful, we can readdress. But our goal now is not to just put people in buildings. It's to help entrepreneurs succeed.
What are some of the requirements for her to be able to get the $5,000? Is that she has to get a building now? Does she have to get a rental place to be able to open the shop? What was the $5,000? Is that like a matching grant? What is that for?
If you look on this, can you drive to Ohio? I know you don't have the printouts and information, but there are a list of requirements of things you can use the money for, things you cannot use the money for, things that have to happen. We spoke on a couple of them, like you have to have your business license and, different guidelines.
So what were the specifics for her to get the $5,000?
approved home occupation. So that counts for that. She's got a business license. She's updated on all taxes. So she's checking all the boxes. And then in terms of actually getting the award, she did her pitch to a panel of judges, and she was the one that ended up scoring highest from those panelists.
Independent panelists.
Did that answer your question?
No, because that still doesn't give me the means of why we get it.
Oh.
What is the purpose? Is that to buy a printing machine? Because when I do a business, I'm supposed to tell the bank exactly what I'm using the money for. I mean, I just applied for like $1,000 from like some company or whatever that was giving money out, and I had to provide my taxes for 2 years. I had to provide like an application that was 30 pages long. I had to do all the filling in the boxes and everything else of what I was going to do. I had to write down my business plan. I mean, there was so much stuff I had to write down for that $1,000. So I want to find out what is it that people have to do to be able to get $5,000.
Yeah. So in her specific case, her plan was to go to a wholesale conference to build that wholesale base. So and you have to provide. It's not we don't just give the money to the winner. It's a reimbursement grant. So they have to spend their money first and then provide us with receipts. And they have to fill out. There's like a form that says what the purchase was, what it was for, and then they have to get their mentor to sign off on it as, yes, this is a valid purchase, and this is going towards growing the business according to their business plan. So there is a process to make sure that it's spent properly. But in her case, she was using it for marketing and branding supplies so that she could go to these wholesale conferences and bring their business back to Christiansburg.
And in the packet we sent, there's a list of eligible uses and a list of ones that cannot be used to help guide that.
Yeah. What are we doing? Well, how do we determine when we're giving information? How do we determine what is proprietary and not proprietary in terms of that I'm going to be able to protect somebody's name? Like, you put an application, you put all this information there to try and get this program, and then because we're dealing with the government, we hand that out, and I don't.
So you don't want to pitch a business and have them steal your idea.
Exactly. How do we have, is Bree been able to help in terms of having talk to Bree related to that, so that we're not sharing somebody's screen and basically giving it to somebody who they already have a means, right? Maybe farther along, and I just don't, like I said, I don't want to frustrate you. I gotta be the person.
Dealing with the government.
The answer is no. I think that's a great point, and I'm going to look into it.
Do you not share with council what is on the T-Drive related to those programs? Just the list.
So
of what they
if
can find
you
there.
look at the T-Drive, you'll see all the applications from 2024, the first cycle, all the applications from 2025. You'll see the blank application, so the information you have to fill for that. You will see a cohort survey report, a launch application for 2025. Sorry, so those are both for 2024. You'll see the rules and regulations, another survey report, 2025 launch rules for participation. So if you want to join the class, these are the expectations. And then, let's see, accepted participants. These will be for acceptance of course, and then this is a list of all sponsors.
Thank you.
So, right. I think that I shared the email they were sending me. A lot of I don't know if that happens only with me, but maybe it's not only me. But the computer that we have, I tell you what, dinosaurs. I know we just got it not too long ago, to be honest with you, but it's a pain in the neck, so I never use it. And so anytime that we get any information like this, I like the way that you share that just a little bit ago right before the meeting for the applications and things like that. So I did share, I was forwarding those emails to the rest of council if they want to see them, because I am sure I'm not the only one that just sees the emails and stuff like that through their cell phone.
So we're running on 2.5 hours, and I think we've covered a lot of information. I think a lot of questions have been asked and answered, both on the side and the seaside that we're into now. There are a lot of good ideas expressed, a lot of points to follow up on. Is there anything else that we need to address on these two items that we have discussed tonight? I want to thank you for your time. I know nobody particularly likes to come out on any night more for 2.5 hours, but I do appreciate it. I hope you all found this useful.